Welcome to Dirt Grease Outdoor Peace. I got a Stihl 251C. I'm going to get it cleaned up and I'm going to give it to my dad. This thing is pretty dirty and neglected looking. It does run. It had a little bit of a bog to it, but I've got a bunch of new parts and we're going to take it apart and go through it a little bit and get it ready for work. Thanks for watching. Well, that's a little better. That was just, this is what I scraped off of the main body. I still got to blow off some of these other parts and scrape them, but I did blow off the main part of the saw here. Around the carburetor and everything cleaned up pretty good. What I'm going to do with this next is mix up some degreaser, spray it down, let that soak. I'll scrape some of these other parts. I am going to see how much a new sprocket is, even though this one would probably last either my dad or I. It would last a long time. It is wore quite a bit. I don't know if that's because they were running it with the chain loose or because of the dirt and stuff in there, but it does have quite a bit of wear on there. So I'm gonna look at getting one of those. When I pulled the needle bearing off, there was this piece of plastic in there, and it doesn't look like the end of the needle bearing is worn, but it has to be from that needle bearing. I mean, it's the same plastic. So I'll get a new needle bearing. I'm gonna get an air filter, even though this one could be cleaned up. It's pretty old. It looks like from the tag on the saw that the saw is from 2012. So I might as well just get a new air filter. We're gonna do all this other work. I do have a new fuel filter and a primer bulb. I got a carb kit. Yeah, look at the stuff in here. This thing was loaded up pretty good. So it was from a farm. It was probably just Never cleaned. The saw, or the saw. The chain has a lot of life left in it, but it's pretty dull. So probably just sharpen that up. I have the tools to sharpen that by hand. This does have the easy chain adjustment. That's something that I've never taken apart before, so I got to get all that cleaned up and see how that works. Should be interesting. This thing is nasty. So I got this all put back together, and I was going to put gas in it and start it up, see how it runs, maybe tune the carburetor a little bit. I don't know if I did a regular video on when I took the carburetor apart. The carburetor was pretty clean inside, but the parts in there were old and kind of rigid feeling, and yeah, it's pretty crispy. So I put that kit in it, put that back together, but then when I put the side cover on, this is the first time I've ever had any experience with these easy adjust chains, but this is your bar nut, so you can loosen this up and then you can adjust the chain with this. But as you can see right there, it's actually not engaged in the wheel. And this thing, and then that locks it. This thing was so gummed up, not only was the nut hard to run on and off, you couldn't adjust the chain with this. That all that mechanism in there was just completely gummed up. The saw was really neglected. And then the chain must have come off, and done a bunch of damage in there. Well, this side cover is all beat up, which I thought, there's a pin down here. I thought, well, I could make something to put on that pin to hold that in position. But what that's doing, see that nut moving there? What that's doing is letting that plastic adjuster chuck on that wheel, and it's just going to wear it out. And then the dust cover inside here that goes over the chain brake is all broke too. So I had looked on eBay before, and the only one that I found on there was like maybe $100 and some for a used one. Or it's like there was one that was brand new with the nut and the adjuster and all that. It was all in pieces. It's like $400 or something. It's like you can buy a whole saw for that much. So I just looked on there again, and I found it's either used in really good shape or a new takeoff for about $50, and then one of these dust covers for 20 some bucks. So I think the saw is worth doing that. If we tried to run it like this, or if I tried to put some time into fixing that pin, I think I'll take that off and show you what's going on in there. Why they put this other pin down there, why they wouldn't put a piece of stainless or aluminum to protect that on there is unreal. You can't. It's like a plastic chain catcher. The thing's just gonna get destroyed. So the chain came off. Or maybe they were running this thing loose, but it just destroyed this pin. It was beaten up on this, and I already took the screws out of this because I just had that off looking for the part number. But this is all broke up here, broke on the top, and that helps hold that side cover. So also if this thing is if this thing's got a big hole in it up here, there's going to be a bunch of junk that can go down through there. So, but I might even mix up some epoxy and try to repair that spot right there. So I'll get those parts coming and get this thing fixed up, and there's the new sprocket on there. The old sprocket was whooped on this thing. Got bad. They must have been running it with the chain loose, and it was so dirty and just beat up. So I'll get those parts in, and then we can finish this thing up. I found this good replacement side cover on eBay. It looks like it's almost brand new. A little bit of dirt in it. chain touched it a little bit there, but all this stuff is in nice shape. The adjuster has good teeth on it. And then this other piece that was all broken, I found, I think this is a new takeoff. I'll put those parts on there and hopefully this will be done. Hopefully I can get something to work. Things have been a real struggle the last few days. Just one of those times where it doesn't feel like anything's going your way. Piece of plastic hanging down in there. That's better. Okay. Oh yeah, that thing fits on there nice. Hopefully, I'm trying to do it without getting my hand in the way. To run it a little bit and try it, but yeah, that cover is really nice and tight on there. This is the first time I've had any experience with this quick adjust, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. So I ended up finding this one on eBay for, I think it was like 45 bucks with $5 shipping. And there were several that were really, there wasn't really too many on there that were like new. Some of them were over 100 and they were pretty well used, and there was one on there that was brand new that had all the parts. All the parts were all there separate, but it was over $400 just for the side cover and all those parts. So now we can, the chain isn't real yeah, I guess it is fairly sharp, I guess. My dad said he's going to sharpen that because I'm going to let him use this one. Hopefully it runs good now, so we'll get some gas in it and see how it runs. I almost think it's just, the chain feels sharp. That one must have got nicked. I think it's just the rakers. It looks nice out, but it is so damn cold. Oh man. Feels like the beginning of March. Yeah, there's a few on there that got nicked. They'll probably knock the rakers down to start with, just to get it caught up, I guess. Maybe this thing's never been. No, it had to be sharpened. This chain had, or this saw had wear on it. But it looks like the rakers have never been touched. So that was why I looked at the camera, because I thought it was going to cut good, and then it just started smoking. Yeah, there's a few there. So, well, at least it runs. It's pretty impressive how this starts with that easy start. You can see how that cover is kind of bulged out. There's some kind of spring loaded mechanism in there. Get this out of the way. It does have a primer bulb too, but you just pull up real slow on it. So yeah, we'll run it a little bit. I'm really not 100% happy with how that low speed runs. It's still, if I try to give it more fuel, it seems to want to still bog. I'll probably just use it, warm it up a little bit, and then see how it goes. But that's it. That's all I got.